Welcome to Inviting Oneness, a podcast where we explore true personal stories from friends and members of EquaSion. Stories where the illusion of separateness gave way to the deeper truth of our shared humanity. Oneness isn't an idea, it's an experience. And today we continue listening for it, one story at a time. Our guest today is James Buchanan. Dr. James P. Buchanan is the co-chair of Faith Communities Go Green, was a longtime board member at EquaSion, and was educated at Yale University and the University of Chicago, where he completed a Ph.D. in comparative religions and value systems. He also studied at the Sorbonne in Paris, the University of Moscow, and the University of Beijing. His teaching and research has focused upon ethics, global systems, and interfaith dialogue. He held the first endowed chair in ethics, religious, and society at Xavier University before becoming the executive director of the Brueggeman Center for Dialogue, and he is now the Emeritus Director at the Brueggeman Center. For those who have been in community building and faith-based spaces in Cincinnati, you'll surely be familiar with James and his work. What you might not be familiar with is his life as a musician. In this episode, we get to hear him marry these two worlds in a conversation I won't soon forget. Here's James.
People who will see this are not going to know me in this context. They know me as the director of the Brueggeman Center. They know me from EquaSion and Festival of Faith. They know me from all the many things in the boards and stuff I've been on. Very few of them have ever heard me play music. It's another part of my life in a lot of different ways. But let me start with a story that goes back to Xavier that'll give you a sense of where I want to go with what leads me to oneness and what my experience of oneness is. After my second year, I'd come to Xavier as an endowed chair, and in the second year, the president of the university had come and offered me the opportunity to start my own center. And so I'd started the Edward D. Brueggeman Center for Dialogue, which I subsequently ran for the next 20 years, doing a lot of amazing projects. One of the parts of the contract that I signed with the university is that I didn't have to serve on committees, a real godsend in a university, trust me. But in that third year, the president called me and wanted me to be part of a committee, which was essentially trying to think about what a Jesuit university would be like when there were no more Jesuits, because Jesuits are becoming few and far between. Example is the new president of Xavier is not a Jesuit. So we were supposed to think about that, and he convinced me to do it, and we did it. So we went out to Houston Woods for this retreat to do it. I'm really busy at this point in my life. I'm traveling like crazy. I'm trying to put programs together. I've got the Brueggeman Fellows. I'm the place all over the world. I do not have time to do this. And that's my mindset. I'm begrudging being there in the woods, and there's no Wi-Fi. There's no nothing. So I'm out there, and we have the first meeting, and this Jesuit that they'd flown in to guide us through this said, here's what we're going to start with. He said, I want you to do this thing called the examen, a Jesuit examen. Now, there are many versions of the Jesuit examen. It's a little 5-step thing that you can go through really quickly that really sort of lets you examine your life. And he gave us a formula for it and said, now go do it. And I'm going, I'm all the way out here and I get like 20 minutes from this guy. And now I'm having to do this. I say, okay. And I go outside and I'm sitting by the lake, and something about Houston Woods, I don't know what it is, but I look up at the trees and the trees are full of vultures. Now, that's sort of an odd thing because I have a thing about vultures. I've studied vultures. I've been at many vulture kills. If you look in my automobiles, you'll find a vulture feather. And about 5 different species of vultures winter at Houston Woods. So the first stage of the examen is acknowledging the presence of God in your life. The presence of God in my life at that moment were the vultures in the trees, because it was just mystical that vultures would be there for me. So I'm contemplating that. And then I move to the second part of the examen, which is acknowledging gratitude. That ran over me like a freight train. I really had never much thought about gratitude. In that moment, I realized how for granted I had taken my life. And my life had taken me all over the world and had put me with popes and Dalai Lamas and leaders and amazing people all over. But I just had taken it all for granted. And I sat there for the next 30 minutes, and that's as far as I got. That's as far as I got. When we went back in, I didn't even remember what the last three are. The last three are: look at the day you've lived, and have you lived it gratefully? Look at the day ahead. Are the roadblocks, and what might you be aware of? And then the last phase, what I do is I just sit quietly with it all. I do the examine every day now, and it reminds me to live my life gratefully. Now, living your life gratefully, on one hand, is this thing of not taking it for granted. That is part of it. But as I began to understand it more, I began to understand that living your life gratefully is not going into situations and demanding that it conforms to your expectations. It's not taking your relationships with your wife or others for granted. My wife goes to bed before I do. When I get in bed, the last thing I do before I go to sleep is I reach over and I touch her head and I thank God that she's in my life. It changed the way I did my job. It changed the way I did my relationships. It changed the way I try to walk through life on a daily basis, because it's not me demanding that the world conform to me, but understanding that the world is this open set of changes that are going on, and giving myself gratefully over to the spontaneity of it. In Christianity, we talk about kenosis, emptying yourself into it. In Buddhism, we talk about sunyata, that emptiness of going into it. In Taoism, we talk about ziran, naturalness, or giving oneself over to that spontaneity. And that, for me, is what gratitude was. And it just became the thing in my life of how do I live my life gratefully, and to notice when I'm not. But the times that I feel most in touch with the world is when I'm in that modality of gratitude and openness to it. And it's rent with ambiguity. It doesn't mean oneness gives me all the answers. For heaven's sakes, it doesn't. But it gives me a sense of a kind of solitude and a kind of sense of solidarity with it, because I'm grateful for it. I'm not taking it for granted. I'm grateful for it.
I love the idea of giving yourself over to the spontaneity of God, of the universe, of reality. I think that for me, what it also implies is that the shape of that God of reality is benevolent, is compassionate, it has something for you potentially. It's not something to fear. And so I hear both gratitude in what you're saying that I think is really hitting me, but I also hear a level of not blind faith, but a faith in the fact that what the universe, what God has given you, hasn't been fully from your own effort and won't be fully from your own effort. That there is gift, and that the gift will continue to kind of unfold for you. That's what I'm hearing. Yeah,
it is, and it's uncontrollable in a sense. And one of the things that is the hardest to do is when life is failing, it's not working, or it's really difficult. I mean, as you know, I just had a knee replacement, and then I had a complication. I had to have another surgery on the same knee. So since December, I've been struggling. This has not been easy, and to sort of go through it, as I said to you when we first got on the phone together, I said, I'm doing stairs. And it's I'm really grateful that I'm doing stairs. How do I go through the tough moments gratefully? There was a moment that we were trying to do a big project in Africa, trying to build a pharmaceutical manufacturing facility to try to address HIV and tuberculosis and stuff. I was working with a man named Paul Farmer, who was a physician at Harvard at the time. And we worked for almost 10 years trying to do that, and we failed. It didn't work. But one of the things that I continued to try to do was to be grateful for the fact that I was even part of something that had the potential to change so many lives, even though it didn't work. And so it works with, as you say, of understanding that you're not in control, and that there is something positive and even the seemingly negative if you give yourself over to it, if you allow yourself to be open to that. And we're living in difficult times right now. It's challenging to turn on the TV and feel grateful about anything. I mean,
yeah, I hear you. That's incredibly profound for me. For you to say that, the way I hear it is that meaning is derived from the potential for transformation.
Absolutely.
Not transformation, but the potential for
It's
transformation.
the potential for transformation, right? And that goes back into this concept of liminality. I wrote a book with Tom Schiff. Tom Schiff is a very famous photographer, and we worked on this book for about 7 or 8 years. He traveled all around the United States doing panoramic photography of old missions and churches and cathedrals and synagogues and mosques. And then I wrote an essay called Journeys Through Liminality. The way it relates to the spaces, the sacred spaces that he was photographing, is that what is supposed to go on in those spaces is ritual. That's what they're designed for. They're meant for you to step out of profane or normal or ordinary time and space, and to step in and out of that space into sacred time and space. And in that sacred time and space, the ritual is supposed to draw you into that. Victor Turner and Mircea Eliade and Van Gennep, scholars that I've studied in my work, all talk about this 3-phase process of ritual. There's the first phase of preparing yourself, ablution, whatever one does. And then the second phase of ritual is liminality. Eliade calls it death. With liminality, the way to think about it is that within that moment in which one has given oneself totally over to the ritual, it doesn't matter whether you're a CEO or you're a pauper, you're a man or a woman, you're black or white. Everything is the same in there because you're in a liminal space, a space of self-transcendence, a space that transcends the community, the social hierarchies, all the kinds of things that we normally use to define ourselves in the normal world, with the hope that when you reemerge back into community, you bring that with you. And it changes you and thus changes community. Gratitude is like that. Gratitude is in that sense, it's liminal in the sense that if I'm in a relationship or in an event or set of things in which I'm really opening myself in a grateful way to it, there are no hierarchies. There's no dumb questions. There's no fact that I have a Ph.D. and somebody else doesn't. There's this sense of openness and listening, and that if everything comes together right, then we all change. And the key, as you said, is transformation. The whole point of religious ritual is transformation. The whole point of liminality is transformation. But let me give you a really more mundane example of it. Have you ever been in a conversation with somebody and the conversation all of a sudden turned deep and you're really going to it, and all of a sudden you look up and it's 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
And you say,
the character of time changes. Totally.
You're not in that space anymore. You're just in the conversational space, and you're out of time. You've stepped out of time. You've stepped out of space into this conversational space. And it's those conversations that are the ones that are potentially transformational. So we have those experiences all the time in our lives, these transformational things, if one allows oneself to give oneself over to it. And this is where oneness lives. Oneness is not I know the answer to everything. Oneness is I'm on the road to something with others. I'm on the road to somewhere. Another of the songs that I sent you was Pilgrimage, that I really do believe our life is a pilgrimage. That this understanding of that you can be a religious tourist. I can go do the way, the via, and I can go down there and be a religious tourist, and I can just see all the things. But to be a pilgrim on that road is a very different thing, because it's to make that whole journey a liminal journey, a journey through liminality in which what you're seeking is transformation.
Yeah, and I just love the idea that transformation is not something you conjure. It's something that you consent to, that you give yourself over to. I would love to hear you first talk about what does the creative process of songwriting have to do with this for you. But then I think it's probably time to hear some songs after you give us an introduction to that.
Any creative process, any artist, anybody who is doing any form of writing or artistic creation or any of those forms of it, they'll tell you that you don't control it. I don't write a song. I don't sit around and say, I'm going to go down to my studio, which I'm sitting in right now, I'm going down to my studio, I'm going to write a song now. It just doesn't work that way. Songs, we become vehicles through which songs happen. Something profound hits you just right, and you get a kernel, you get a still small voice that says this is there, and it begins to peck at you, and all of a sudden you've got some lyric or you've got some music. And again, nothing is more rent with gratitude than writing a song, because they are all little miracles. I mean, I know they're professional songwriters who sit and do this, but even those, I've been in song circles with them, and I've talked with them, and even those who are trying to write the hits and they're making their living, they say 99% of what they're doing is not that, but every now and then they really write a song, or the song writes them. That's the real point. And then the other miracle of that is that you get to go and share it with other people. And there's nothing, if you want liminal moments, both writing a song, when you're writing a song, you totally lose track of time and space and stuff you don't know. I mean, how many times has my wife come down and said, you have to come and eat dinner? And I'm going, I'm not eating dinner tonight, because I'm writing a song. I've left dinner parties in the middle of a dinner party because I had a song idea that I had to do it, and I had to leave and go write the song. And then I've come back to the dinner party and played the song, because when it's happening, it's happening. And it is that liminal moment where you're just in that space of transformation, of change, where something happened. And every song you write changes you. Then to get to go share it with people. And again, getting with a bunch of people, musicians, and sharing music becomes timeless. You just are, you're living in the music with others, what they have to share and what you have to share. And it's just the most amazing. Again, they're just miraculous times. And again, I see those as liminal times. I see them, there's a cold ritual process to it as well. We're sitting down and just how it all works. And I mean, I get to play at the Telluride Bluegrass Festival, played out there for years and years in these concerts, where getting to play with real touring musicians, which I'm not. I don't tour, have no desire to tour. I toured for one summer and decided I'd go back and get an education. It's too hard on the road for me anyway.
So I'm not a musician, but I think there is something so incredibly intoxicating about when you're creating something and you ask yourself, but where did that come from?
Where did it come from?
Where did that come from? And it's from something other than yourself.
Yeah.
So thanks so much for agreeing to usher us into a liminal space. I don't know what you're planning on playing now. I mean, I think maybe Momentary Joy.
Momentary Joy.
Like.
That's a good one. This song was written, a friend of mine, Doogie McLean, who's a well-known Scottish, brilliant songwriter, who when he would come to the United States and tour, generally we would try to meet up prior to that and hang out for a bunch of days and just play music and just be together. And at this point, we were going to Colorado. He was playing a concert and I was just hanging. And we were up at Estes Park, way up in the mountains in Colorado. And this is a song that's from there. The opening line is, standing here above the tree line, world below a distant life, a car winds slowly down the valley road, heading for those city lights. And the point of the song is really about nature and being in nature, which is another liminal time for me. I mean, I do a lot of hiking and being in nature, and again, totally losing track of time and space in those situations. And then also at the end of it, the idea that the way we get our momentary joy is by sharing music together. So let me see if I can pull this off. Standing here above the tree line, the world below a distant life, a car winds slowly down the valley road, heading for those city lights. Oh, cities where I have lived and learned, searched for love and fought for fame. Cities where I have lost my way, caught in this cold, hard modern rain. But up here on high, when the wind blows, there's something ancient that I feel. Ages moving deep inside me, and for a moment I think I know just what is real. I've learned to take my consolation in simple words and simple things. The grace of love, the smile of strangers, the joy I feel when we all join in and sing. I see the nighthawk soar above me, at one with the wind and with the sky. I try to feel my own connection, open up and let my spirit fly. We pay a price for our ambitions, walk paths of holiness and stain, searching for our own redemption, caught in this cold, hard modern rain. But up here on high, when the wind blows, there's something ancient that I feel. Ages moving deep inside me, and for a moment I think I know just what is real. I've learned to take my consolation in simple words and simple things. The grace of love, the smile of strangers, the joy I feel when we all join in and sing. We sing and raise a glass together. We sing for friends lost on the way. We sing for all the weary dreamers who, like us, sing to keep the dark at bay. But if we can learn to sing together, if we can learn the harmony, and let these mountains sing within us, the joy we'll feel, you know, it just might set us free. It's momentary joy, but it just might set us free. Caught in this cold, hard modern rain.
So beautiful, James. Thanks so much for sharing that. I had the impulse to unmute myself and sing with you, but I knew it would mess up all the acoustics. So I'm like, no, don't do it. I really love that song. I think the refrain of the cold-hearted brain, and the invitation to sing together is just something that will stick with me.
Yeah.
Just one question about the song itself. Was there a line or a melody? Like, how did that initial inspiration kind of come for you?
Well, I mean, in a way, Doogie and I were traveling, and so at a certain point, I said, "I'm going to try to write a song in your style, and you try to write a song in my styles."
Okay.
So
Okay.
neither of us quite got there, but I was trying to do it in the sort of that style. And I think the Cold Hard Modern Rain was the part of it. The image of standing on Estes Park above the tree line and the car winding down, that
Yeah.
sort of sets it. And then
Uh-huh.
cities where I've lived and learned, searched for love and fought for fame, cities
Mm-hmm.
where I've lost my way in the cold, hard modern rain. But then
Mm-hmm.
up here on high, when the wind blows, there's
Mm-hmm.
something ancient that I feel. That notion of liminality, for me, liminality is ancient.
Yeah.
And
Of course.
it's a theme that runs through a lot of my songs. Is that when there's something profound, it's also
Mm.
something ancient. And so age is moving deep inside me. And for a moment, I think I know just what is real.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
But it's fleeting, right? It's fleeting. It's
it is. It's a moment.
yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
moment. I don't know where the song came from. I mean, the the line you talk about, the lines that you look back on and you say, well, where did that come from? Is the one that we pay a price for our ambition. We walk paths of holiness and stain. That's the line I'm going, whoa, where did I get that? So, and
Yeah.
it's the way in which songs write themselves. I don't, the metaphors that you come up with, you just are always, I'm doing a novel right now, and I go back and look at metaphors and parts of the novel. And Robert Browning, one point, he was doing a reading, and somebody was just amazed at one of the pieces of poetry. And they said, where did you get that? And he said, well, when I wrote that, only God and I knew where I got it, and now only God knows.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Well, I mean, to say the obvious, I think it's pretty incredible that you have both had such an illustrious life in academia and in the nonprofit world, but you also possess this gift that's clearly God-given to write songs like this.
And
I,
I
I
feel it as a gift. I mean, for me, it's a gift as well. I mean, it's gotten me through. I've got a song I wrote recently to my Martin guitar, not this guitar, but to another guitar that's been with me forever. And
yeah.
it's just called Ode to a D35. And it really is just how that guitar has gotten me through so many bad times.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because I think the other part of the song that really jumped out at me was the bridge about who you're singing to and for. And this last line of, we sing for those who sing to keep the dark at bay.
Yeah. All the weary dreamers who sing to keep the dark at bay. Yeah, that's yeah. And that, I think that when I'm in a circle of a lot of songwriters that I know, I think that's what we do.
Yeah,
We keep
of
the dark at
course.
bay for ourselves, and we keep the dark at bay for each other. When we're together, we're a circle of light.
Totally.
You know,
Absolutely.
and
And being on a committee might not be the dark that you were talking about, but I do think the managerial administrative tasks of everyday life that accompany all of us can feel so suffocating. And so to come above those clouds and to glimpse something bigger, something more whole, something momentary but meaningful, feels like such a powerful invitation for us. Well, James, I think this is exactly what I wanted it to be. So I'm happy for you to play another song.
this is a new one, and I would like to play it. It's really called the COVID Blues, and it's written to my muse. It's going to sound like a love song to a woman because it's Hold Me Close, Sweet Senorita. But Sweet Senorita is my muse, that whoever comes. When COVID happened, I went into isolation, and I thought, this will be great. I'll just be able to write, and I'll be so creative. Well, no, it didn't work that way at all. It really became oppressive at a certain point and stuff. And I went, and my muse left. She left town. And so there was a certain point, you always, as a songwriter, you wonder, will I ever write another song? I mean, it really is just the truth. And this was the song that brought me out of that doldrums. And it's about that. It's going to be, when we produce it, I'm in the process of producing a new CD, of which the song you just heard will be on, and this one will be on. And this will be produced with Spanish guitars and stuff and everything, but it's got a different type of sound to it, and I've never played it for anybody before. So
let's go. I'm excited to hear it.
So it's this COVID Blues, a song to my muse. Too many days of isolation, trapped inside this house and in my mind. Chaos lurks outside my door as I restless pace this floor, till this house no longer feels much like a home. This emptiness to which I have surrendered, it sends me reeling back through time, back when my passions were still on fire, and your touch filled me with desire, and now I just can't seem to get you off my mind. Hold me close, sweet señorita. Just help me make it through tonight. Say you love me, I'll believe you. In all this darkness, I just need some light. Outside the world is spinning madly. I hear tyrants knocking at my door. It's a world of lies and masks, fears our freedoms may not last, as our country drifts into the coming storm. I feel like a leaf caught in the whirlwind. I feel like I'm running out of time, lost in this maze of doubt. I need your light to guide me out. Please reach out and touch me if you can, and hold me close, sweet señorita. Just help me make it through the night. Say you love me, I'll believe you. In all this darkness, I just need some light. I feel so tired, unmotivated, just sitting around here waiting for the end. I just need some inspiration to find my passion and a second wind. So hold me close, sweet señorita. Just help me make it through tonight. Say you love me, I'll believe you. In all this darkness, I just need some light. In all this darkness, I just need some light. And I just can't seem to get you off my mind.
Ooh, so good. So good. Thanks so much, James. I was transported back to COVID times and all the moments that felt like darkness and where I was desperate for some light. And then the verse came about the tyrants knocking at our door, the world of lies and masks, fears of freedom, country drifts into the coming storm. And it brought me to today. And
that's, yeah.
And I just wonder, in the spirit of all we've been talking about, of gratitude and joy, could you give us a little bit of light in this moment of darkness? You have with your songs, but as we're kind of departing now together, is there a message of light that you can give us in this moment of darkness?
Yeah, I think that part of what is going on is that it's driving us more and more to the local. I've lived my life on big stages, national, international, and stuff like that. I've separated myself from all of that now. And the work that I think that I can do is local. I don't think that I can do anything about Washington, D.C. or NATO, or what I can do is the baby steps that I can take in terms of developing relationships in the community I live in. And as you know, and you know my work well, Joy, is that the key to everything is always collaboration, is finding good people to work with, trusting them, listening to them, being open to them, being grateful for them, and moving through those transformational spaces together. And in there somewhere has to be a kernel of hope. And I suppose the best advice you give to anybody is don't turn on the TV.
Amen. Yeah. Amen. Or maybe not social media as well. We can keep that.
Maybe not social media as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, and you know, find creative outlets. I think that again, all of us have creativity. We have our own version of it, our own way of doing it. Find those creative impulses within yourself and use those and share those with others. Because when we're sharing with each other at that creative level, somehow not only is there self-transcendence involved, but there's transcendence in general involved. And we move into a greater wholeness. And it's in that greater wholeness that we'll find hope.
Thanks for joining us on Inviting Oneness, where we share real stories of connection that dissolve the illusion of separation and reveal our common humanity. To learn more about our work at EquaSion, or to share your own story of oneness, visit us at EquaSion.org. Until next time, may we keep inviting oneness within ourselves and with one another.